Okay, so let's be real for a sec. Job searching. It can be a wild ride. Exciting, yeah, but also like a total emotional roller coaster.
Right.
And today we are diving deep into an episode all about navigating that craziness. It's called Managing Stress During the Job Search, from a podcast called Pathway to Work.
Ooh, I love that podcast.
It's a good one. But we're not just going to skim the surface here. We're going deep. Like how to use emotional intelligence, not just to survive, but to seriously rock this whole job search thing.
Yeah, you know what I think is so cool about this episode? They really get into the mental game of job hunting. It's not just about, tweaking your resume or acing those interviews. It's about understanding and managing all those feelings that come with it, the ups, the downs, all of it.
Totally. And it's like everyone's always dishing out the practical tips, but no one preps you for the emotional side. So let's cut to the chase. Why is job hunting so freaking stressful?
Okay, so picture this. You're facing a ton of uncertainty, right? You're putting yourself out there, not knowing what's going to happen. And then there's that fear of rejection. Like, nobody likes to feel judged or like they're not good enough. Then pile on the pressure of having to be the perfect you, and bam, overwhelmed city.
It's like you're constantly being judged, even before you get the chance to prove yourself. But isn't stress just part of the game? Like, doesn't everyone go through this?
Yeah, for sure. Job searching is stressful, no way around it. But here's the thing. This episode is all about realizing those feelings, yeah, they're normal, but they don't have to run the show. They really drive home how unmanaged stress can totally sabotage your job search.
Oh, I've been there. Procrastination, putting in less effort. I mean, I've even felt burnt out before even landing an interview.
Exactly. And the episode makes a really interesting point. When you're battling stress 2004/7, you're not showing up as your best self.
Makes sense.
You might miss important details, not connect with people genuinely. You might even self-sabotage without realizing it.
So it's not just about feeling bad. It's about stress actually messing with your game. But this episode, they featured someone who beat this.
Right.
Turned things around using emotional intelligence.
Yes. And that's what makes this so powerful. It's not just theory. It's seeing real people use these strategies and get results. They shared this story about someone super discouraged, almost ready to throw in the towel.
Wow.
But by focusing on understanding and managing their emotions, they totally shifted their mindset, ended up landing a job that was like a perfect fit.
That's awesome. Okay, so how do we build this emotional intelligence toolkit? Where do we even begin?
They break it down into a few key strategies. And the first one, the foundation, is self-awareness.
Okay, so knowing yourself is key. Got it. But how does that help with all the job search stress?
It's about knowing your triggers, what sets you off. They even have this great question in the episode. They ask, am I stressed because of the uncertainty or because I feel like I'm not ready for interviews? Figuring out the source of your stress helps you tackle it head on.
Makes sense. Like, if interviews freak me out, I can practice more. Research those common questions, maybe even do some mock interviews with friends.
Exactly.
But what about that rejection feeling?
Ah.
It's like a punch in the gut, even when you know it's part of the process.
Yeah, that's where reframing rejection comes in. This is where the episode gets really cool. It's not just about saying, okay, next one, I'll get it. It's about going deeper, understanding why that opportunity might not have been right anyway.
Okay, so more than positive self-talk, it's about actually analyzing those no's for valuable intel. But how do you do that? How do you make rejection useful?
They have this exercise. It's simple, but powerful. Every time you get a rejection, write down 3 things you learned from it. Maybe you realize the company culture was off, or you find a skill you need to work on.
Turning those rejections into growth opportunities. I dig it. But what about waiting to hear back? Being stuck in limbo?
Yeah, that feeling sucks. The episode tackles that head on. It's about focusing on what you can control. So instead of obsessively checking your email, why not put that energy into your resume, networking, or researching companies you like?
So it's about taking action, even when things feel out of your hands.
Yeah, it's about feeling in charge. Instead of being like, oh, woe is me, it's about actively shaping your job search journey.
Okay, we've got self-awareness, reframing rejection, and taking control. What other emotional intelligence goal does this episode have?
Well, now they get into some practical stuff for busting stress. They call it your self-care toolkit for the job search.
Okay, self-care during the job hunt. Now we're talking.
Right. And the first thing they're all about is the power of routine. You might not have a 9-to-5 right now, but creating some structure can be a game changer for stress.
So treating the job search like a job itself. Dedicating certain hours to applications, networking, all that.
Exactly. And the episode highlights how this routine isn't just about getting stuff done. It's about preventing that feeling of always being on, like setting boundaries so you can step away and recharge.
Yeah, if I know I have time set aside for job stuff, I can actually relax and enjoy my free time without feeling guilty.
Precisely. And just as important as scheduling time for the job search, schedule time for yourself, exercise, hobbies, hanging with friends, these aren't distractions, they're crucial for your well-being.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Avoiding burnout and showing up as your best when you are focusing on the job search.
Yeah. But what about those moments when stress hits, even with a good routine? Like right before an interview or when applications are piling up?
Oh, yeah.
That's where mindfulness comes in. The episode walks you through this simple breathing exercise called the 4-7-8 technique. It's designed to calm your nerves and bring you back to the present moment.
Okay. I've heard of mindfulness and deep breathing, but never tried it. What makes it so good for job search stress?
It's not just about relaxing. It's about taking charge of your thoughts and emotions. When stress hits, it's easy to spiral into negativity and what-ifs. Mindfulness helps you break that cycle and choose a more empowering response.
Like hitting pause on those racing thoughts and choosing a better way to react.
Exactly. And the 4-7-8 technique is super simple. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 7, and exhale slowly for 8.
I might just try that before my next interview. Okay, so routine, mindfulness.n. What else is in this self-care toolkit?
This is a big one. It might seem obvious, but the episode really hammers home the importance of your support system during this time.
So reaching out to friends, family, mentors, people who get it and can cheer you on.
Exactly. It's so easy to isolate yourself when you're stressed, but connecting with others makes a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be all about the job search. Sometimes just venting or laughing with a friend helps release tension and gain perspective.
It's like having your own personal cheer squad to remind you that you're not alone in this.
The episode also mentioned job search groups, right? Like online communities or even meetups.
Yeah, that shared experience can be so valuable. You can swap tips, learn from each other, and support one another.
So even though it feels like a solo mission, there are people out there going through the same thing. Connecting with them can make a world of difference.
Totally. And it's not just about emotional support. It can lead to practical advice, referrals, even job opportunities you wouldn't have found otherwise.
Okay, we've got routine, mindfulness, and reaching out for support. What's the final piece of this self-care toolkit?
One you've probably heard before, but it's worth repeating. Physical activity.
Yes, those endorphins. But how does that specifically help with job search stress?
It's not just about feeling good. It's about lowering cortisol, the stress hormone, and boosting those feel-good chemicals. When you're less stressed and more energized, you're more likely to shine in interviews and networking. It's like instead of letting stress bottle up, you're physically releasing it. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? Even a quick walk or workout can help.
Exactly. Find activities you enjoy and make them part of your routine. Yoga, dancing, hiking, whatever gets you moving and helps you let go of that pent-up energy.
Okay, so to recap our self-care toolkit: routine, mindfulness, support, and physical activity. A total mind-body approach to managing job search stress.
Totally. And the cool thing is, these strategies aren't just for job searching. They're valuable for any stressful situation.
That's a good point. It's like investing in your overall well-being, not just checking things off a list. But with all this focus on self-care, is there a risk of, like, neglecting the actual job search tasks? Could you get so caught up in relaxing and mindfulness that you forget to apply for jobs?
Such a good question. That's why this episode is so valuable. It's not self-care instead of job searching. It's self-care so that you can job search better. It's about finding a balance where you're taking care of yourself while still making progress.
You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly.
You need to replenish your energy and manage your stress so you can be your best throughout the job search process.
Precisely. And what this episode highlights is that when you prioritize self-care, you're not just reducing stress. You're boosting your confidence, improving your focus, and increasing your resilience, all essential for navigating the ups and downs of job hunting.
So it's not selfish to prioritize self-care, it's strategic.
Absolutely. And it's not just about getting a job, it's about making the whole experience more positive and fulfilling.
Even if the search takes longer, you're still gaining valuable skills and taking care of yourself along the way.
Exactly. And you know what's really interesting? This episode goes beyond just managing stress. It dives into how you can use emotional intelligence to actually thrive during the job search.
Okay, thrive, not just survive. Now that's what I want to hear about. What does thriving in a job search even look like?
Well, it's about using those emotional intelligence skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management to not only handle stress, but create a more empowered and fulfilling experience.
Okay, those are some big words. I'm definitely intrigued. Can we break those down more in part 2 of this deep dive?
Absolutely. We'll explore how each skill applies to specific job search situations and how they can help you stand out and land a job that truly fits your passions and purpose.
Sounds like a plan. We'll be right back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into the power of emotional intelligence for job search success.
All right, so we were talking about how emotional intelligence can help you not just survive the job search, but actually thrive.
Right. You mentioned self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. Where do we start with this emotional intelligence power-up?
So self-awareness, that's like the base, the foundation. It's more than just knowing your stress triggers. It's like really understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, what makes you tick.
Okay, so it's that classic know thyself advice, but for the job hunt.
Exactly. When you really get yourself, you can tailor your search to those opportunities that actually fit who you are.
Instead of just applying for every job out there, you're being more strategic about the positions you go after.
That's it. Like, if you know you work best in a team, you might focus on companies with a strong team culture. Or if work-life balance is huge for you, maybe steer clear of those companies known for crazy hours.
Makes total sense. Using self-awareness to filter and find those perfect matches. But what about when things don't go your way? How does self-awareness help with, like, setbacks or rejection?
That's where self-regulation comes in. It's about handling your emotions, especially when things get tough.
So like an inner thermostat for your feelings.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about recognizing them, understanding where they're coming from, and then choosing how you respond.
Instead of letting rejection spiral you into self-doubt, you take a breath and choose a better reaction.
Exactly. The episode gives a great example for this in the job search. Let's say you get a rejection email. Ouch, right. Instead of automatically thinking you failed, use self-regulation to see it differently. Remind yourself that this one no doesn't define you, it's just pointing you towards a better opportunity.
Not letting those negative feelings hijack the whole job search.
Right, and self-regulation isn't just about handling the bad stuff, it's also about using those positive vibes to fuel your search.
Tell me more about that. How do you use positive emotions to your advantage?
Think about when you're excited about a job or pumped after a networking event. Instead of letting that feeling fade, use self-regulation to turn it into action. Use that energy to write an awesome cover letter, research a new company, or connect with someone in your network.
So ride that wave of good vibes and let it push you forward. Love that.
Now, the next skill, social awareness, that's huge in so many parts of the job search.
So this is about being tuned into the people and dynamics around you.
Yeah. Understanding other people's perspectives, their needs, their emotions, reading those social cues, empathizing with the people you're talking to.
Okay, so having that social smarts to navigate situations and connect with people authentically.
Exactly. And in the job search world, social awareness is crucial for networking, interviews, building those relationships that can open doors.
It's about those real connections, not just going through the motions or trying to impress people with a rehearsed speech.
Right. And the episode has this great example of how it works in networking. Imagine you're at an industry event, chatting with someone from a company you're interested in.
Okay, picturing myself there. A bit nervous, but ready to connect.
With social awareness, you can go beyond just talking about yourself. You can ask them thoughtful questions about their work, their experiences, what gets them excited about their role.
Showing real interest, making them feel like you're actually engaged.
Exactly. By listening and picking up on their cues, you build a real connection.
Instead of a one-sided pitch, it's a genuine back and forth.
Yes. And that authenticity makes a big difference in building a strong network. So we've got self-awareness to choose the right opportunities, self-regulation to manage emotions, and social awareness to connect authentically. What about relationship management? How does that piece fit in?
Relationship management. It's about more than just collecting business cards, right?
Definitely. It's about nurturing those connections you've made. Communication, collaboration, building those mutually beneficial relationships.
So it's about actually staying in touch, not just adding people on LinkedIn and calling it a day.
Yes. And the episode highlights how this can make or break your job search. Think about it. Who would you rather hire? Someone you barely know who sent a generic application, or someone recommended by a trusted colleague?
Okay, yeah, I see your point. But how do you build those strong relationships, especially when you're meeting so many new people?
They talk about the importance of follow-up. After a networking event or an informational interview, send a personal thank you note. Show your appreciation and reiterate your interest.
So stay on their radar and show them you value the connection.
Exactly. And it can be casual. Share an article they might find interesting, congratulate them on something, or just check in and see how they're doing.
Building that rapport, not just using people as stepping stones.
And what's cool is the episode points out that relationship management isn't just about what you get, it's about what you give to.
Okay, so it's a two-way street. What can you offer, especially as a job seeker?
It could be sharing something you learned at a conference, connecting them with someone in your network, or just being there to listen and offer support.
Being a valuable part of your network even before you land that job.
Exactly. By being a giver, not just a taker, you build stronger, more authentic relationships. So we've got self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management.
Sounds like a powerful combo for job search success. Is there a way to, bring it all together?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. How do these all work together? That's a great point. These skills aren't meant to be used separately. They all connect to create this whole approach to job searching.
Okay, so it's not about picking and choosing which skill to use. It's about using them all as one big strategy.
Right. And it starts with self-awareness, that foundation. By understanding your strengths, weaknesses, and what really matters, you can then use self-regulation to handle your emotions, stay motivated, and push through tough times.
So knowing yourself keeps you grounded and focused, even when the job search gets crazy.
Exactly. Then, with social awareness, you can approach networking and interviews with more sensitivity, empathy, and genuineness.
It's about understanding the people you're talking to and adapting your approach.
Yes. And finally, with relationship management, you turn those initial connections into lasting relationships that can help you throughout your career.
It's like a chain reaction of emotional intelligence where each skill builds on the other.
Yeah. And the episode really stresses that these skills aren't just for getting a job, they're for building a more fulfilling and meaningful career.
Okay, so it's about the bigger picture, not just the immediate goal.
By working on your emotional intelligence, you're investing in your personal and professional growth over the long term.
So it's a win-win. You gain valuable skills, and you're more likely to find a job that truly fits you.
Exactly. It's about creating a career path that's both successful and fulfilling.
I love that. As we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Emotional intelligence is like gold during a job search. By understanding and using these skills, you can not only handle stress, but create a more powerful, fulfilling, and successful experience.
It's about going beyond the resume and interview skills and tapping into that emotional intelligence.
Right. In today's job market, it's often those soft skills, that ability to connect and navigate tough situations, that really makes you stand out.
For our listeners feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, remember that you have the power to build these skills and create a more positive experience.
Don't underestimate self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. These can make a world of difference in your job search and beyond.
So inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, this episode mentioned a stress management challenge and a reflection question.
Right?
Perfect timing, because in part 3, we'll look at how to put all this amazing knowledge into action.
Exactly. We'll revisit those practical tips and figure out how to tailor them to your situation and create a job search experience that's both effective and emotionally fulfilling.
Okay, so we've explored this whole emotional roller coaster of job searching, and we've talked about how emotional intelligence can be like your secret weapon. But now let's get down to brass tacks. The episode we're talking about has this stress management challenge, which I think is the perfect way to start actually using all this stuff.
Yeah, I love that they included that. It's easy to get stuck in the theory, but actually doing something is where the magic happens.
Totally. The challenge is super simple. Pick one mindfulness or self-care activity, just one, and make it part of your routine this week. Could be anything. Like that 4-7-8 breathing we talked about, or starting to journal every day, even just taking a 20-minute walk each evening.
I think the key is to pick something that really works for you, something you can stick with. It shouldn't feel like another chore on your list, It should be something that feels good, helps you de-stress.
Right. Like, if you hate running, don't force yourself to jog every day just because you think you should. Find something you actually enjoy. Dancing, gardening, listening to music. Whatever works.
Exactly. Even those small things, if you do them regularly, they can make a big difference in how you feel overall. It's about creating those little moments of peace throughout your day, especially during such a crazy time like a job search.
Yeah, it's not about being perfectly zen. It's about finding those little bits of calm. But with all this focus on self-care and emotional intelligence, is there a chance we're, like, forgetting about the actual job search stuff? Could you get so caught up in taking care of yourself that you
Right.
forget to actually, apply for jobs?
That's a really important point. It's all about balance. It's not self-care instead of job searching. It's self-care so that you can job search better.
Right. Like if you're totally burnt out and stressed, you're not going to do your best on applications or in interviews. But if you're taking care of yourself, you're more likely to show up with energy and confidence.
Hmm.
That spark that makes you stand out.
Exactly. And the episode we're looking at, it actually has this great question you can ask yourself to help with this whole balance thing.
Ooh, a question. I love those. What is it?
It asks, think about the thing that stresses you out the most in the job search. What can you do about it? What little step can you take today to start moving forward?
Wow. That's a good one. It makes you get really specific and come up with a plan.
It does. And it's not just about figuring out the problem, it's about giving yourself the power to do something about it, even if it's just a small step.
So instead of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, you're breaking those big, scary things down into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Exactly. Like if networking is what stresses you out the most, maybe you decide to go to one industry event this week or reach out to 2 people in your network for informational interviews. Just start small.
Baby steps, build that momentum, and start feeling like you're making progress, even when the job search feels huge.
You got it. And I really like how this episode goes beyond just giving tips and challenges. It also encourages you to think differently about the whole job search thing.
Okay, a different perspective. Tell me more.
Well, instead of seeing it as this straight line to a specific job, they want you to see it as a chance to grow and learn more about yourself.
So it's not just about getting a job. It's about the journey, the lessons you learn, and who you become along the way.
Exactly. And that's powerful because it takes the pressure off finding that perfect job right away. It lets you explore different options, try things out, and even make mistakes.
Because sometimes those mistakes actually lead you to something even better or help you figure out what you really want.
That's right. And by having this growth mindset, you're not just job hunting, you're investing in yourself. You're building resilience and creating a more fulfilling career path.
I like that. Shifting the focus from the destination to the journey, from the outcome to the process.
And you know what's cool? This whole growth mindset thing can help you in other parts of your life too, not just the job search.
Ooh, how so? What other areas can this help with?
Think about it. This approach is all about self-awareness, resilience, being adaptable, and seeing challenges as chances to grow. Those are awesome qualities to have no matter what you're doing in life. Relationships, personal goals, even just dealing with everyday ups and downs.
It's like you're building a toolkit, not just for the job search, but for life in general.
Exactly. And by having this mindset, you're not just looking for a job, you're creating a life that reflects your values, your passions, the real you.
So well said.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this deep dive into managing job search stress, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Here it is. The job search will have tough moments, doubts, frustrations, but it's also a huge opportunity to learn, grow, and discover what you're truly capable of. By embracing emotional intelligence, self-care, and a growth mindset, you can turn this whole experience into something really empowering. It can be a journey of self-discovery.
It's not just about finding a job, it's about finding yourself. Love that.
Exactly. And remember, you got this. Trust yourself, trust the process, and keep going.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into managing job search stress. We hope you walked away with some great insights and tools to navigate this whole thing with more confidence, resilience, and purpose. Remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish. Emotional intelligence is your superpower, and a growth mindset can turn even the toughest challenges into opportunities for growth. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.